Fix your face. You should smile more. I thought you hated me when we first met. I have heard these remarks more than once regarding my demeanor when someone meets me for the first time. I attribute it to my reserved nature and resting face, something that has always been a struggle for me. My shyness has morphed me in becoming a better listener than a speaker, waiting to hear someone's full story before forming a response. I have gotten better at maintaining conversation as I have gotten older, but it still puzzles me as to why my habitual silence sometimes makes others uneasy. I always questioned why I was always expected to be more outgoing while others could maintain their timid demeanor without question. My questions were answered last year when I came across an article written by Sequoia Holmes, a digital media strategist, which echoed my feelings about Black women not being embraced as introverts, specifically in corporate America. Holmes discussed the consequences she has faced by not living up to the entertaining, funny and outgoing Black woman archetype. She received complaints from her job claiming that she did not speak enough and was subsequently laid off. But Holmes is not the only Black woman who has shared her experiences about how she has been forced into extroversion to make others comfortable. Florida A&M University resident director Pamela Grissett also shared how her professors took her silence in class as being unprepared, when in reality she was observing her classmates and preparing for discussion. It began to make sense as to why my introversion was constantly in question. Many people expect every Black woman to be this talkative force of life, thus compartmentalizing us into yet another monolith. Corporate spaces expect Black women to be a source of entertainment in their offices, and these sentiments extend into everyday society. These sentiments do not stray far from Emory University. Cynthia Anaira, 25C, shared her experience with a teacher who took her silence as being unprepared. I was in freshman seminar observing and listening to the conversation going on about racism. I wanted to gather my thoughts before I contributed to the conversation, said Anaira. My professor looked at me and mentioned that I had been quiet. I said that I was gathering my thoughts, and my professor interjected and said that I had to contribute. Anaira noted how she was surprised at her professor's response since she had spoken in the class discussion earlier. Just minutes before, the professor had also engaged in banter with a non-Black student when she did not want to respond to a question. These double standards do not create a welcoming atmosphere in the classroom for many students, especially introverted ones whose quietness is often misinterpreted. I am hyper-aware in classroom settings. This double standard makes me take preemptive action that others may not have to think about doing. I sit in the front to reduce the possibility of being called out for not paying attention in the back. I try to empathize with my table mates' filler conversations so I'm not immediately written off as rude. I count the number of times I contribute to classroom discussions because I have to work twice as hard to earn participation points. The more I micromanage my every action, the more socially exhausted I become and the more I resent society for placing this unfair expectation on me. In essence, I am reclaiming my introvertedness. Reclaiming introversion isn't easy. Black women are often expected to play comforting roles and uphold the culture in every space they occupy, which parallels the mammy caricature popularized during the Jim Crow era in the United States. The original intent of the mammy caricature was used as propaganda to suggest that Black women were content with their subservient roles in the white nuclear family structure. The stereotype was birthed by slavery supporters in the early 1800s as a counter-argument to abolitionists' descriptions of slavery. Real-life mammies were known to run households, babysit children and serve as second mothers to white families. These sentiments were strongly reinforced by the media in works such as Gone with the Wind and Uncle Tom's Cabin, which shapes society's perceptions of black women through a domino effect that is present in today's media. There are countless TikTok videos sharing the same punchline of being comforted by an older black woman calling them sugar, baby, or another endearing term. While these videos likely hold no harmful intentions, they are still uplifting key features of the mammy caricature, an older black caretaker whose sole purpose was to comfort and serve. The videos lack reference to the subservient nature of the mammy caricature, but they are a step in normalizing the expectation of all black women having the same consoling demeanor, especially with their massive reach in audiences. It is ridiculous how some black women have experienced repercussions for their reserved nature and for failing to live up to a larger-than-life expectation rooted in racist fiction. Our silence is not aggression. Expecting every black woman you meet to fill the room with their personality is reinforcing a harmful monolith. Do not mistake a black woman's silence as disliking someone. Our lives do not center around making people comfortable by fulfilling archetypes. Let us be. Kayla Robinson, 25C, is from Charlotte Amalia, St. Thomas, USVI. Kayla Robinson, +, posts. Kayla Robinson, 25C, she/her, is from Charlotte Amalia, St. Thomas, USVI, majoring in neuroscience and behavioral biology. She is also a contributing writer for the Emory Undergraduate Medical Review and enjoys graphic designing in her free time.
Hey black women, I'm still struggling with my throat. I officially have laryngitis, so it's going to take like 2 weeks for me to get it back to normal. But in the meantime, I'm going to push it. But I wanted to put these articles up on to YouTube to sort of like explain or give more background to why it is society pushes to police and control black women, trying to keep us involved with poverty, conforming to everyone's opinion of us, trying to make us do what they feel they think we should do because it's about us conforming to their level of comfortability with our existence. Listen, when you listen to these videos, or these articles I'm putting in this video, keep in mind that these are real life experiences from black women that happen to all of us everywhere we are. Also keep in mind that when you hear people like RWS #exposed talks very, very frequently about the propaganda society perpetuates on black women, she is 100% correct. And these articles confirm and verify what she's talking about. It also goes a step further to explain why so many people was up in arms about the cheesecake incident and any other incident where black women decide to make personal decisions on their own life. What it comes down to, black women, is that people just want to control us. They don't want to see us as individual human beings equivalent to other women. They want to keep us as the beast of burden, the mule of the world. And you black women have to fight back against that. Do not entertain black women content creators, black male content creators, or all other non-black creators who constantly speak about relationships, decisions black people make, and why someone was upset about what a black woman decided to do with her own life, her own actual ability to determine what she wants to do, to exercise her autonomy over her own self. Stop participating in it. When you push back against it, black women, you will make it stop. When you vote against people who do not have our best interests, you make it stop. When you let your police department know, listen, I live in Chicago, And right now in Chicago, crimes are heavily being committed against black women. I want you to increase patrol in our black neighborhoods. I want you to respond better to our domestic violence calls. Because if you don't, when it is time to vote for the mayor, for everybody on the city council that has to deal with the police department, we're going to go hard to let them know that we want everyone in the police department held accountable. We're going to bring the political pressure like you never thought possible. Do it. Be serious about it. And it will change your life, and it will change the conditions in which you live in life. Now let's get back to some more articles.
I've heard secondhand my entire life, and most times it isn't true. While the statement is annoying, it wasn't consequential until I became an adult in the workplace. As a self-identified introverted black woman navigating mostly white spaces, I often find that my peers and coworkers have preconceived assumptions about who I am, based on my black womanhood. When I fail to live up to the funny, entertaining, sassy, black woman stereotype, they're quick to assume my failure to entertain is because I don't like them. This isn't a huge problem until it's time for peer reviews, promotions, or layoffs. Then, it quickly becomes an insidious dehumanization tool that can result in job termination because black women are not afforded the luxury of introversion, especially not in the workplace. I'm used to feeling discriminated against because of my race and gender, but I'm only starting to understand that being an introverted black woman has also been the source of discrimination throughout my life. From being roped into sassy banter with my white, gay, male coworker because that's what I'm expected to do, to having my biggest criticism be, "You should talk more." Black women are not allowed to exist in peace without providing entertainment to others, particularly not in the workplace where our livelihoods are at stake. These unfair expectations begin in childhood. Designed by Mike Maricki. When I was a kid in middle school, my non-black friends always wanted me to teach them how to dance, because, "Isn't that what you blacks do?" And when I would refuse, they'd call me boring or an Oreo. It was as if my job was to entertain them, and when I couldn't, I was useless. Unfortunately, these same middle school kids grow up to be adults who hold these same notions of what black women are like and how they should behave. For about a year and a half I worked at a big-name digital media company where we were told to bring your true self to work. I did. I thought everything was going well until my first end-of-year review. The biggest critique I received was that I didn't speak enough. Not that I wasn't good at my job, not that I wasn't hitting numbers, but that I didn't speak enough. Shortly after receiving that criticism, I was laid off. This is not to say that I was laid off because I didn't speak often enough, but it felt as though I was being reprimanded for being introverted. It was like my personality type was somehow unacceptable, although my actual work was never criticized. When I consider the rest of my team members, other people were quiet as well. A Vietnamese team member spoke up about as often as I did, but did not receive the same criticism that I had. Although it's false, Asian women are often perceived to be quiet and submissive by white people, so her behavior didn't challenge their stereotypical views. I'm left to assume that preconceived notions about both black and Asian women are the reason behind our differences and criticism, based on similar behavior. I know what this sounds like. Boo-hoo, you have to be nice to your boss. Who doesn't? But it's bigger than that. These expectations aren't put on people of all races or genders. White men are given the freedom to act however they'd like as long as they're good at their job, and sometimes even if they aren't, because they're seen as individuals and not as a stereotype. I've experienced white men who speak over me every time I talk, but they aren't perceived as rude. I've experienced white men who have bad attitudes, but they hit their numbers, so it's all good. Being good at your job and keeping things professional should be all that's required to avoid negative criticism, but that only seems to hold true for white men. Why are black women not allowed to be introverted? Because of stereotypes, we are shocked when we meet a black introvert. Sufficiently Black podcast. Follow. 3 minutes read. May 20th, 2021. 127. 5. Amari Pollard from So-Called Oros. The stereotype for a black woman is that she is loud and ghetto. We imagine them to be the funny, extroverted, loud person in the office using the latest slang. We assume that all black people should be extroverted, talk to us and make us laugh. And when they don't, we take offense or take it personal and punish them for not holding up to the stereotype. This is seen early on in childhood. White peers will question why you aren't loud or funny or why you talk white. Then in adulthood we see this play out in the workplace. We expect our black co-workers to be fun, entertaining, share as much as their personal lives as we do. When they are more reserved, we isolate them or question what is wrong with them. The preconceptions of black women who are quiet tend to be stuck up, vapid, bitchy, rude. At my first job, me and a white woman were hired to start the same day in the same role. I came into the job with more experience. I did not fit in because the company was mostly hipster white people who were known for partying with each other and sleeping with each other. I did not want to be a part of that and had clear boundaries from work and my personal life. In my review, my boss told me I was doing a great job on my assignments but that I should speak up more in social settings and that is how I would get a raise. I was confused because speaking up had nothing to do with the job I was hired to do, so why should that determine if I should get a raise? The white woman I was hired with got the raise because she spoke up more, simply because she fit in the work environment as a white person who engaged in after-work activities. I was in charge of 12 websites while she was in charge of 2. She was not even doing half the work as me but got the promotion. Black women shouldn't have to be extroverted to have a promotion. The same standards are not held for white and Asian women because of stereotypes. These women can be however introverted they want because that is just how they are, but black women are never extended the same grace. These aspects of silence are also pushed in black households. Oftentimes growing up we hear, "Don't speak unless spoken to," and children are to be seen, not heard. To be silent is to respect your elders, and speaking up in any way is a sign of disrespect. In this episode, we discuss what it is like being an introvert and how society's expectations and stereotypes of black women make it harder to be accepted as an introvert. The so-called Oreos dive into how being raised in a common black household has an effect on how we react in the workplace, as well as how society and social media can make us believe that staying at home as an introvert is somehow not normal. Why are black women not allowed to be introverted?
We know the answer to the question why black women are not allowed to be introverted is because society, white America, and America on a whole do not see us as human individuals. They see us as their sidekick, their cool, hip, black friend, somebody they've had a legacy of slavery to detest, to tear down our reputation, to make the entire world believe that we are the most despicable people living. And when you look at what goes on social media with black males who are supposed to be, which are not, the counterparts to black women, who further go on to degrade our reputation, our character, our morals, our integrity, our values, and our sense of self is why people have a problem with black women being introverted. The introverted part really has to do with everyone having a problem with black women being individuals. Leave us the fuck alone. We can decide to do whatever the fuck we want to do in life with ourselves, as long as it doesn't hurt another person. We don't owe you a fucking explanation. We do not owe you, right, conformity of your opinion of us. We don't owe you comfortability with our blackness. We don't owe you anything. And black women, start standing up and letting people know, I have a right to exist in this world, and I do not have to give excuses for being who I am or how I conduct myself when I am not hurting anyone. When people do this to you, it's not enough to write articles. You have to get out there, file lawsuits, make complaints to the Department of Justice, EEOC, your state human rights division, city human rights division, contact your attorney general's civil rights division for employment. Let it get out there. Black women, the more you create videos like this, exposing the maltreatment of black women by white women in the workforce and everybody else that feels like we are supposed to be everybody's beating bat or beating mat, mule or beast of burden, or black sheep. No. We are human beings that deserve the same respect, the same decency, civility, and not to be judged and treated as if we're some imaginative stereotype all these wicked people have created about us and kept the legacy going up to today from the conception of this country. If you don't stand up against it and stop it, it will never end. Speak your piece, be heard, fight the good fight, and I'm out.